دورك راك بديت صح.
كيفاه؟
دورك راني بديت اللايف خلاص دور.
اوكي.
صح. قلت لك صح.
Ok. Bon, salam alaikum. J'espère que nous bien. Bon, ça fait plaisir. Déjà, j'aimerais bien remercier l'équipe d'AGDG pour m'avoir invité à la session. Donc, نبدأ without further delay. Bon, the session will be about open source contribution. It's an introductory session. ثم راح نهضروا على main steps اللي حيخلوكم تبداو في open source contribution. راح aussi فننسي نمد لكم some insights about open source contribution. ثم par exemple إذا بديت open source contribution وش هما les voies اللي راحوا يفتحوا لك في l'avenir. par exemple if there is an option for job opportunities ولا getting paid to do open source contribution, we'll try to talk about this. بصح لا ديفيرونس على السيشن اللي دارها صهيب، هذه السيشن راح تكون more technical، تما راح نهضروا beaucoup plus على how to do it. صهيب هدر beaucoup plus على general definition تاع open source contribution وشنو هي etc. Donc نبداو. I'll start by presenting myself. My name is Aymen Berriche, so I'm a final year student at Algiers. I'm a GitHub campus expert and research intern at New York University of Abu Dhabi. I'm also a former GDG Algiers development department manager. This year, I helped bring in Hacktoberfest to the GDG Algiers community. Thanks to Hacktoberfest for the opportunity and also for GitHub Education for sharing with us this amazing opportunity. And yeah, we're glad to have the GDG Algiers community participate in such a international event. So the plan for today is to first talk about open source contribution in 2 words. I know Sohaib gave you a more detailed intuition about what is open source contribution, etc. We try to just in 2 words summarize what he said. Then we'll try to talk about give you a general roadmap for beginners. So هذه general راح تكون roadmap general pour des personnes jamais touchées à open source ما بالهم شنو هو open source. تسمح نسيو نمد لكم ديجا وشنو هما ستيبس اللي راح تبداو فيه، كيف تبدا في open source وشنو هو open source كيف تبدا فيه. On va essayer de détailler step by step how to do it. Dernièrement راح نسيي نمد لكم quelques idées على واش قادر دير ابري في لا كارير تاعك beaucoup plus واش هي الانفلونس ولا الامباكت اللي راح يخليه open source contribution على لا كارير تاعك in general. راح نخلوها مع الاخر نسيو نهضروا عليها. Bon, what is open source contribution in 2 words? Generally bon pour les gens اللي ما بالوش شنو هما ما بالوش وشنو هو ما همش فاميلي بزاف مع جيت هاب ولا جيت ورك فلو، راح يلقاو بالك هذو لي مو شويه جدد، مي حنسيو نديفينيهم او فيغ ميسور. Bon, generally if you have like an open source project راح يكون working flow اللي راح تتبعه. بون هذا الوركين فلو واش راح يكون جينيرالمون راح يكونوا دي بيرسون اللي راحوا ils vont contribuer في هذاك لو بروجي وين راح يديروا دي كونتريبيسيون. بون لي كونتريبيسيون حنا كي نخدموا في جيت انفايرمنت ولا جيت اوفرفلو بيتو في جيت ورك فلو راح نسموه بون اوكي n'importe quel changement راح نسموه كوميت. ومن بعد une fois on va soumettre هذاك لو شونجمون راح نقولوا له بوش. بون هذاك لو شونجمون حنا ماذا بينا شغل on va le soumettre pour une personne qui est bien sûr في le projet qui participe le projet هذاك وعندها هذاك le knowledge nécessaire pour dire un review par exemple les changements تاعنا. هذا la procédure هذه تاع دير le changement où tu vas soumettre les changements تاعك نقولوا حنا شغل create pull request and you submit it for review. one of the maintainers تاع البروجكت راح يجي he try to review your code and test it. Bon, généralement هادو لي tests راح يكونوا اوتوماتيك. بصح des fois راح يكونوا des tests qui sont manuels, mais généralement راح يكونوا اوتوماتيك. و des fois même شغل يدوموندو لك انت دير لي تيست ومن بعد يزيدوهم يديروا لي تيست تاعهم. Ça dépend. المهم une fois la personne avec en charge qui est en charge de faire le review هذاك, soit elle va refuser la contribution تاعك, راح تقول لك عليها elle a refusé la contribution تاعك. ومن بعد انت bien évidemment راح tu vas essayer de corriger هذوك les lacunes اللي عندك. Après tu vas resoumettre une autre proposition, ou là you submit another pull request. Either they accept your changes, your contribution will be merged into their repository. هكذا يقدروا يقولوا لك بلي راك ديجا a contribute. If you have done it the first time, راح تولي one of the contributor تاع هذاك البروجي. راح نشوفوا ابري الكونتريبيوشن ما راح تكون غير على كود, قادر تكون عفايس واحده اخرين راح نسيو نديتايو فيهم ابري, مي جينيرالمون هذه هي. دوكا pour des personnes qui sont جدد, Hacktoberfest, it's a wonderful event to get you started with open source contribution, and here's like a general roadmap that will help you get started with this. Bon, if you are a new contributor راك جديد, ما عندكش شنو هو open source contribution, جامي سيدها, but you are a developer, you have some knowledge in a certain domain, بصح حبيت you try to sharpen your skills, and you found that open source contribution is a wonderful opportunity to sharpen your skills. العفسه الاولى اللي راح ديرها سي كو بون هنايا جينيرالمون بون هذه الرود ماب ماشي انا اللي درتها, لقيتها مي جافي با لو طون فريمون نعاود واحده اخرى, باسكو بور موا prepare your toolkit it's not really a step, mais it's something راح ديرها au fur et à mesure. تسمى une fois pour moi sur l'étape, la première étape راح تكون choose your domain. تسمى انت راك ديفلوبر, نقولوا باغ اكزومبل ديفلوبر ويب ولا عندك expertise في AI, تسمى ديجا عندك ايدي باللي واش من لو دومين اللي راح tu vas contribuer فيه. Après la contribution تاعك faudra choisir واش من le projet tu vas contribuer فيه. هنا هو le choix le plus difficile, parce que si tu vas choisir un projet par exemple qui est assez avancé, ou surtout tu vas essayer de par exemple de la contribution تاعك راح تكون في issue اللي راح تكون more advanced, بالك راح تحصل راح تضيع وقت تاعك بزاف, وبالك يجي واحد راح يفريها قبلك. تسمى this is really important to choose the perfect issue for you, for your level of expertise. And also there's learning Git basics. Basically if you're not familiar with Git, jamais خدمت بGit, ما بالكش comment ça marche. انا pour moi bon ماشي لازم تتعلم Git شغل from zero to hero, بصح نقول او ما يكون عندك some basic knowledge about Git. باغ اكزومبل عن بالك شنو هو version control system, وعلاه داروا version control system, what is a repository, what is a commit, what is a branch, what's the main branch, etc. تسمى عن بالك شنو هو pull request, etc. تسمى هذو البيزكس قادر تعلمهم في 1 heure ولا 2 heures, هما راح يخلوك ابري تبدا تخدم. سينون باش فريمون تتعلم باغ اكزومبل كيف more advanced things باغ اكزومبل في Git راح يجوا au fur et à mesure. تسمى try to just have the basics, then you'll find yourself like learning about more advanced things. Une fois c'est bon عندك البيزكس تاع Git, then you start to contribute into open source project. خلاص خيرت البروجي تاعك. قبل ما تبدا your contribution you must collaborate and communicate. تسمى البروجي هذاك شغله عنده دي بيرسون, حيكون عنده community server ولا عنده chat community chat ولا عفسه هكذا pour communiquer مع لي لي بيرسون اللي حابين يديروا une collaboration معاهم ولا they contribute to their repository. Try to first, once you find your issue, try to reach out to these people. Try to find if it's right for you. If the issue is if it's ready for development ولا لا ثم هم يقولوا لك. And also when doing the development, if you have certain issue, try to reach out to them. They're generally here there to help, so try to reach out, and this is like really important thing to do. So let's break down these steps into more details. So first step is to choose the right repository for you. But can a lot of websites to choose a repository. راني خيركم هذو زوج, they are very good for beginners. So we'll try to go through, for example, the app for grabs website. العفسه مليحه فيها app for grabs شغل you can filter by name. كان عندك بزاف filter by label. باغ اكزومبل كاين specific issues اللي راح تلقاهم labeled beginner. هادو باغ اكزومبل beginner ولا beginner experience ولا beginner friendly راح يكونوا project they are destined for beginner people اللي جامي باغ اكزومبل داروا contribution. You can also filter by language اللي حبيتها, باغ اكزومبل بايثون ولا سي شارب ولا domain for example web ولا عفسه هكذا. There is also first issue. Bon, غلط في الويب sorry. Let me open this. Okay. First issue is a similar website to App4Grabs, but it's more, I would say, more flexible. You can find also projects. You can filter by stars, etc. You can filter by labels, languages. Par exemple, هنايا نقدر ما نتخيل هذوك par exemple les projets qui participent à Hacktoberfest, etc. بون هادو خيرتكم غير زوج. قادر تلقاي واحد دي زوتر ويب سايت اللي يديروا لا ميم شوز. تما the final purpose تاع هذا الويب سايت is to let you search for the best issue that's right for your type of expertise and also for your level of expertise. هذه if you wanna, like, it's a general thing to do إذا حبيت for example دير open source contribution. The other thing, if you are like interested into Hacktoberfest in particular, العفسة اللي حد more interesting to do is to just go into, for example, GitHub topics like GitLab. GitLab is just same thing as GitHub. It's another control version system. So هنايا واش حتلقاه all repository اللي they are participating into Hacktoberfest. You can search the one that you like the most. You can search for an issue that's suitable for you, and all contribution in these repository are eligible for participating in Hacktoberfest. And there is also the possibility to use this is a non-official Hacktoberfest search engine. You could filter out by languages and best match. For example, most forks or few stars, most stars, etc. So this is really helpful, and all of these repositories are participating in Hacktoberfest. Okay, so second step is to get familiar with Git and GitHub or GitLab flow. Just quick comments on this is that how to say this, not all people put their code in GitHub, so you might find like the issue that you search for is in GitLab. Literally, GitLab are literally very familiar, so you will not really have issues getting familiar with the other. If you're used to working GitHub, you get yourself comfortable with GitLab very quickly. So this is not really an issue. Um, so generally, the workflow is like I put some additional resources, but just in 2 words, you generally will uh, fork the repository, then create a branch. You name your branch with the actual issue that you're trying to solve or contribute, or the feature that you're trying to develop. Try to do changes, commit sharing, create a request. Once you try to get feedback from people responsible for the project, then as I said, the test could be errors, automatic, or could be manual. So at the end, if you get your pull request accepted, you'll get your code merged with the actual code. And if not, you'll just get some feedback and try to create another pull request with the requested changes. Step 3, you must follow the contributing guidelines. This is really important. If you've noticed, for people that scroll or are already familiar with GitHub and GitHub repositories. Most of the open source projects have what we call a contributing.md file. This is a markdown file that has all of the contribution guideline. It's made for people who want to contribute in the project. So it contains all of the steps that you need to follow, and all the things that um, you need to follow and keep in mind when contributing. So search for the file, read it, follow the specified procedure to contribute. So the general workflow, when the general file would contain like some instruction to fork, create a new branch, name the branch following a specific structure, for example. This will help them to identify specific issues and their people that are working on them. Um, then you'll try to code, test, and communicate at the same time your result and things that your advancement with people in charge. Then create a pull request. So an example of a contributing.md can be found in our open source project Brainy bot. So you just find it like with the regular file, so it will contain some general instruction on how to contribute, where are the issues, and yeah, so general guidelines, how to write a pull request, what to put in the pull request. Um, so yeah, if you're new to open source contribution, there's 5 things I want you to keep in mind. So the first thing is contributing isn't just about writing code. Um, so when you are writing code, you're expecting yourself to just when you when you're doing when you want to do open source contribution, you just have in mind the typical code and create a pull request and etc. I want you to know it's not just about writing code. You could be a active open source contributor by doing other things like designing navigation menus, writing documentation, organizing open source, even like moderating messages and responding to messages, answering questions. You could even like suggest a feature or report a bug. By this, people will still consider you as a contributor in the project. The second thing to keep in mind is confusion is always okay. So if you start with a new project, you'll find like new vocabulary, new names, new things that you don't know. So just keep in mind that this will go better with time. So you need time to get familiar with the architecture of the code, try to understand different components, etc. So give yourself time, and you'll see that you'll become familiar. There's also a more important things when it comes to confusion. Always try to choose the perfect issue for you. So if you're new to the project, you never worked and really delved deep into the code source of your that library or thing that you're trying to contribute in, try to always find like a simple issue that will get you started with the code. You find yourself like you find it easy, and also it's worth time for you to it's also yeah, it will give you time for you to get familiar with the code and understand its main architecture. Then in the next issue, maybe take something that is harder or needs more work. But it's always good, even like if you're uh, very good at coding, you have experience. But if you're trying to contribute into a new project, try to find some issue that would get you familiar with the general architecture of the library. The third thing is there is always, not always, but most often there is a code of conduct in repositories. Read it. If you don't read it, maybe you find um, some things that are forbidden, or things that you need actually to keep in mind when coding. So there is certain things to keep in mind. Read it to avoid any problems. This is really important. Fourth thing is that there's what we call a community governance model. What is the community governance model? Is who's the person in charge in that open source project, who's running the open source project, and who's taking the calls. There is three types of models. Um, there's the benevolent dictator for life. Um, this type of model can be on a project like Python. So this is just simply saying that it's the person who created the project, the person in charge, if it's not a big contributor, if it's like one that created the project and made the biggest contribution, he's the there's the meritocracy model. The meritocracy model say that the people who should take calls are people who have most contribution nowadays. It's really people who no people who have like most contribution are people who take the call. And how they take calls is just by voting. So this people who are gathered to take important decisions and share this liberal contribution is just taking as meritocracy. Instead of having contributions, they contributors. So people, for example, people that have contributed the most this year are people who have taken calls, and this is not isn't by Putin, but rather with just gather and try to take calls together. Any line is ways to put the questions. So people in the community are actually um, Sorry, guys, I had problem with my internet connection. So I'll just resume uh, from here. So I think this is where things got lost. So first, contributing isn't just about writing code. So you can find other ways of contributing, like just writing documentation, organizing open issues, or even like flagging problems or things like this. Um, Second thing is confusion. Confusion is okay if you start with a new project. So just give yourself time and try to uh, start with simple issues. Even if you're experienced, just try to uh, find simple issues that would let you go through the project architecture and all. Third advice is just to read the code of conduct if there is one. This is will um, avoid you a lot of problems. Fourth thing is the know the community governance models. There is three main models. The benevolent dictator for life. This is like the one that Python has. Is stating like who's the person is in charge. The person in charge of this project, or the one who's doing the decision making, is basically the one that has created the project. The second model is meritocracy. In this model, the person in charge is actually the people uh, who are have the most merit, which are basically the people that have the most contribution. The liberal contribution model is just basically telling you the same thing as meritocracy, but we're just taking the most recent contributors, like people, let's say people that have the top contributors last year are the people who are actually taking the calls. Um, I've put a more detailed description about community governance for people who want to check this out. The final thing to keep in mind is when in doubt, ask away. There's no dumb question. Even if you have like a question that seems um, easy or stupid, just ask people in community, people who are in charge. You find like community chat or even Discord community servers for projects, most of projects. So just ask people. They are willing to help. They are more than happy to help you, of course, if you're just keeping the tone welcoming and kind. um, um, so what are the open source best practices? As I said before, communicate before doing anything. Even if you before do like creating your pull request, whenever you do like a big advancement, if you're in your issue, try to communicate with your with people in charge. They will give you some feedbacks that will uh, help you avoid losing a lot of time. um, the second best practice is to start small and dream big. Often, contributing is often a great way to learn more about a software. So start with a simple issue. This will get you started understanding general architecture, and then for future issues, try to get something more complex. Um, I've linked two documents that would help you to write the perfect pull request and also to write a good commit message. This is not something that you'll not really need to worry about right now, but more of when you're in that stage um, of actually opening a pull request and submitting your code. Try to review this document. It would help you create a good pull request. And often, like there's some uh, repositories who have their own pull request template. So just follow, if they have one, just follow it. Same goes for commit messages. So this you'll find all of these things in the contributing.md file, so just check it out. So the final thing that we'll talk about is how to advance your career by contributing to open source projects. So there is actually two things that I want to talk about. Actually, well, there is I've linked an interesting blog that talks on how to start your own open source project and how to get people to start contributing to your project. And there is also some opportunities to get to get paid working on an open source project. So there is different project from I think there's there's an error in the link. So there's a great list of opportunities that actually pay. There are programs that pay people for to get engaged in open source projects. So there's Google Summer of Code, the most known one, and there's Google Season of Docs. This is more distant for software documentation. There's Outricky internship. So there's plenty of programs and opportunities. So this is really a wonderful thing to achieve for people who love open source contribution. Actually, to get paid to do this is really interesting. So I also wanted to give you some hints about what are the impact that open source contribution could have on your career. So people اللي يديروا par exemple open source contribution مع الأول يبداوها par exemple parce que they want to learn for example a tool ولا عفسة هكذا. بصح actually the impact that this would have on your resume ولا on your career in general is more broader than this. Par exemple كاين des personnes بزاف اللي بداو open source contribution وتخلصت عليهم باغ اكزومبل يخدموا باغ اكزومبل في هذيك لونتربريز اللي راهي تمانتيني في لو بروجي هذاك ولا maybe people will notice you and propose يقول لك باغ اكزومبل تخدم معاهم. تسمى it's a lot of sans vraiment parler على l'expérience pratique اللي راح تتعلمها that will add a lot in your resume. And people actually surtout for people that they for software developers open source contributing is really thing that is well rewarded in a resume. It's les personnes techniques يحبوا يشوفوا par exemple des personnes qui يديروا open source contribution تسمى حتزيد في لو سي في تاعهم. هذه just a simple a last note on open source contribution impact on career. So I think this is all for today. I want to wish you a good luck in starting your journey with open source contribution, and I want to thank GDG for the opportunity. And I will say goodbye and thank you.